Hi Reddit. I've been lurking here forever, never thought I'd actually be posting something like this, but here we are. Throwaway account because my husband knows my main. So, here's the thing. I, 32F, have been married to Jake, 35M, for 6 years. We've had what I thought was a pretty solid marriage. Not perfect because whose is, but solid. We both work full-time jobs. We bought a little fixer-upper house 3 years ago. We have a dog who thinks he owns the place, and we've been in that stage of marriage where we talk about maybe trying for kids soon but keep pushing it because life feels busy. Anyway, Jake's job has always been a little unpredictable. He's in finance, and the firm he works for has insane hours. It wasn't unusual for him to get home at 9 p.m., sometimes later, with the excuse of late meetings, end-of-quarter chaos, or the client from hell. I hated it, but I also understood that his job was demanding. Plus, he made significantly more than me, so I tried not to resent it. He worked hard, and I told myself he was doing it for us. But lately, something fell off. You know when you get that weird gut feeling you can't explain? Like nothing concrete, just little things that pile up. Asterisk, he started dressing nicer for overtime. A new shirt, spritz of cologne. Asterisk, his phone suddenly had a password. Before we both knew each other's, it wasn't a big deal. Asterisk, he got twitchy about texts, angling the screen away from me. Asterisk, he seemed distracted at home, like his brain was somewhere else. I asked him about it. He said I was imagining things. Work is just stressful right now, babe. He gave me a tired smile, kissed my forehead, and went back to his laptop. And for a while, I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Because I wanted to believe him. But then came last Thursday night. He said he had to stay late again. Something in me snapped. I wasn't angry yet, I was just curious. Suspicious. I decided to drive into the city, near his office. I figured I'd surprise him with coffee or something. Okay, in hindsight, I was absolutely checking up on him, but at the time, I told myself it was innocent. Here's the thing. I got to his office building around 8:15 p.m. Lights were off on his floor. The parking garage where he usually parked? Empty. My stomach dropped. I sat in my car for a few minutes debating what to do. Then I started driving around, not even sure what I was looking for. And that's when I saw him. He was sitting in a restaurant across the street, clear as day, in a booth by the window. Not with coworkers. Not with some client in a suit. With her. I don't know who she is. Blonde, maybe late 20s. Pretty. She was laughing at something he said, leaning in closer than you'd lean, with just a friend. And him? He was smiling that big, relaxed smile I hadn't seen in months. His hand was on the table, close enough to hers that it looked deliberate. My chest felt like it was caving in. I swear, in that moment, my brain split into two people. One half of me was screaming. Asterisk, go in there. Confront them. Flip the damn table. Asterisk, the other half froze. I couldn't move. I just sat in my car, watching them through the glass, trying to process what I was seeing. At one point, she reached over and touched his wrist. He didn't pull away. He just kept looking at her like she hung the moon. And that's when I started shaking. Because I realized this wasn't some casual dinner. This wasn't just work friends. He looked happier with her than he had with me in months. I must have sat there for 20 minutes. Finally, I drove home, heart pounding, barely able to breathe. I didn't say anything when he got home that night. He slipped into bed after midnight, smelling faintly of whiskey and that same cologne. I lay there pretending to be asleep, wondering how long this had been going on. The past few days, I've been a mess. Half of me wants to scream at him, throw his stuff on the lawn, and demand the truth. The other half keeps whispering. Asterisk, what if it's not what it looks like? What if you're wrong? Asterisk, but I can't unsee the way he looked at her. I haven't confronted him yet. I've been watching, waiting, trying to collect myself before I decide what to do. He thinks everything is normal. He kissed me this morning on his way out the door, like nothing's wrong. Meanwhile, I feel like my entire world is cracked down the middle. I don't know who else to talk to about this. My best friend is out of the country right now, and my mom would immediately go full scorched earth on him, which I'm not ready for. So I'm posting here because I don't know what to do with myself. I feel like I'm living in a movie I didn't sign up for. Do I confront him? Do I gather more evidence first? Do I act like nothing's wrong until I know for sure? The not knowing is eating me alive. And here's the kicker. He just texted me that he'll be late tonight. Another overtime. My hands are shaking as I type this. I don't know if I should follow him again. I don't know if I want to see more. But I also don't know if I can sit here in the dark, waiting for him to come home smelling like lies. Reddit. What the hell do I do? / to be continued. Part 2 coming soon. Hi Reddit, I'm back with an update. I honestly didn't expect so many people to comment and message me after my first post. I read every single one, even if I didn't respond. Thank you for being kind, blunt, supportive, and sometimes brutally honest. I needed all of it. So here's what happened after that night I saw Jake in the restaurant with that woman. The next day, I couldn't focus on work. I kept replaying that scene in my head. The way she touched his wrist, the way he smiled at her. I wanted to confront him the moment he got home, but something in me said, not yet. Too many of you commented that if I confront without proof, he'll gaslight me into thinking I'm crazy. And honestly, he's done that before on smaller things. Like if I called him out on being distant, he'd say I was imagining it. If I asked why he was late, he'd make me feel like I was being needy. So yeah, I knew I needed more than just, I saw you at a restaurant. That night, when he texted again that he'd be working late, my stomach twisted. But instead of sitting at home spiraling, I decided, screw it, I'm following him. I waited until he left, then I grabbed my keys and tailed him. I felt like some kind of amateur detective. My hands were sweating so bad on the steering wheel I almost lost sight of his car. He didn't go to his office. He didn't even go anywhere near the financial district. He drove straight to this cozy-looking wine bar I'd never been to, in a part of town we never go to together. And guess who was already there? Blonde woman. She was sitting at the bar, waiting for him. The way she lit up when she saw him, it made me physically nauseous. He kissed her on the cheek. I almost threw up in my car. I parked half a block away, walked past the bar like I was just some random person, and peeked in through the big front window. I know I looked ridiculous, but I didn't care. They weren't just talking. He had his hand on her back. At one point, she leaned into him, and he brushed hair out of her face. The kind of intimate gestures you don't do with just a friend. I snapped pictures on my phone. My hands were shaking so bad the first few were blurry, but I got a couple clear shots of them sitting close, his hand on her, their faces way too close together. Evidence. My heart was pounding the whole time. After about 40 minutes, they left together. I thought they'd go their separate ways, but nope. They walked arm in arm down the street like some cutesy couple out of a rom-com. He opened the door of his car for her. They drove off together. I followed. My chest was tight, my vision blurry from tears, but I kept going. And where did they end up? A hotel. A freaking hotel. I parked across the street and watched them walk in together, laughing like the world belonged to them. I sat there for at least an hour, just staring at the glowing hotel sign, feeling my entire life collapse in slow motion. At some point, I realized my nails had dug little crescents into my palms from clenching my fists. I wanted to storm in, scream in the lobby, expose them. But I didn't. I drove home instead. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed with our dog curled up beside me, staring at the ceiling until the sun came up. When Jake came home the next morning, he was all smiles, coffee in hand like he'd just been at work all night. He kissed my cheek. I swear I almost slapped him right there. But I didn't. I needed to play it cool. For now. Here's where it gets messy. I've been collecting everything since then. Screenshots of his late-night texts, bank charges on our joint account. He paid for that hotel with our money. Can you believe that? Pictures from my phone. I even went as far as creating a private folder labeled House Renovation in our shared cloud drive and uploaded copies there, just in case something happens to my phone. I haven't told anyone in real life yet. Not my mom, not my friends. It feels too raw, too unreal. Like if I say it out loud, it becomes permanent. Right now, I'm hovering in this awful limbo where maybe, if I close my eyes, it'll all go away. Except it won't. Because every time he looks me in the eye and lies, I feel it like a punch in my gut. Last night, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I needed answers. So when he came home, I asked him, casually at first, about his day. He gave me some vague story about spreadsheets and late meetings. I let him ramble. Then I asked, "Do you ever go out with coworkers after?" He froze just a second too long before shaking his head. No, too tired for that. And that was it. Something inside me snapped. I asked him straight up, "Are you seeing someone else?" He laughed. Laughed. Like it was the most ridiculous question in the world. Babe, what? No. Why would you even ask that? His smile was fake, his voice too calm. My heart was pounding, but I kept my face neutral. I didn't show him the pictures. Not yet. I just said, "I don't know. You've been different lately." He gave me some half-hearted reassurance, kissed my forehead, and went to shower. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone, at the photos of him with her. I could hear the water running upstairs. And I thought, he's lying to me with no hesitation, no remorse. He's so comfortable doing it, like it's second nature. So now I'm sitting here, writing this update, and I have no idea what my next move is. Do I confront him with the proof? Do I talk to a lawyer first? Do I quietly get my ducks in a row and blindside him with divorce papers? Part of me wants to scream at him until my throat bleeds. Another part of me wants to be ice cold and calculated. The only thing I know for sure is, I can't unsee what I saw. And I can't go back to pretending everything's fine. I don't know if I'll ever forgive him. I don't even know if I want to try. What I do know is that the man I thought I married, the man who promised me forever, was walking into a hotel with another woman last Friday night. And tonight? He just texted me again, working late. I'm shaking as I type this. / to be continued. Part 3 coming soon. Hi Reddit. Back again for what I think will be my final update. Buckle up because things blew up faster than I expected, and I'm still sitting here trying to process it all. So after my last post, I spent the weekend in a fog. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep properly. Every time Jake touched me or smiled at me, I wanted to scream in his face. But I didn't. I was trying to play it smart, quietly gathering more evidence, reading advice from a million strangers on the internet, trying to figure out the best way forward. By Sunday night, though, I cracked. He came home late again, smelling faintly of whiskey and that same cologne. He slid into bed like nothing was wrong, like my whole world wasn't collapsing around me. I lay there staring at the ceiling and thought, no more. This ends tonight. The next morning, I made coffee for both of us, just like usual. He sat down at the table, scrolling through his phone. And that's when I slid my phone across the table to him. On the screen was one of the photos I'd taken, him with blonde woman at the wine bar, his hand on her back, her leaning into him. He went pale. Totally froze. For a good 5 seconds, he didn't say a word. Then he laughed. Babe, this is nothing. You're misunderstanding. I just stared at him. Nothing? You take your coworkers to hotels now. His face drained of color completely. He knew I had him. He sputtered, tried to come up with something, but I pulled up another photo. And another. Don't lie to me, Jake. I was there. I followed you. I know everything. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I've ever heard. My hands were shaking so hard, I almost dropped my phone. Finally, he sighed, ran a hand through his hair, and said the words I'll never forget. Okay, you're right. I screwed up. That was it. No begging, no sobbing apologies, no elaborate explanation. Just a half-assed admission like he'd forgotten to take the trash out. I think that hurt even more than the cheating, the sheer casualness of it. I asked him how long it had been going on. He admitted it started about 4 months ago. It wasn't supposed to be serious, he said. She was just fun. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Like that was supposed to make me feel better. Like 4 months of lies was just some little fling. Asked him if he loved her. He hesitated. That half-second pause told me everything. I didn't even need his words. I stood up, walked upstairs, and started pulling clothes out of his dresser. He followed me, panicking now, saying, "Wait, we can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll end it with her." He was trying to grab clothes out of my hands, trying to stop me. Our dog was barking like crazy, tail between his legs, sensing the chaos. And I just snapped. I turned on him and shouted louder than I ever have in my life. "You don't get to break my heart and then decide if we fix it." He froze. I think that was the moment he realized I wasn't bluffing, that I wasn't going to sweep this under the rug like some people might, that this wasn't going to just blow over. I told him I wanted him out of the house by the end of the day. He begged. He tried to hug me. He cried a little. Tears I couldn't tell were real or just desperation. But I didn't care. Something inside me had gone cold. That switch flipped, and I wasn't his wife anymore. I was just the woman he betrayed. By the afternoon, he packed a bag and left. He went to stay at a friend's place for now. I called my mom, finally broke down, and told her everything. She drove over within an hour, armed with hugs, snacks, and righteous fury. She kept saying, "We'll get you through this, honey. You're stronger than you think." And for the first time in days, I believed her. I also called a lawyer, just to know my options. We don't have kids, thank God, but we do have the house and some joint finances. The lawyer was calm, matter of fact, and told me everything I needed to know. I cried after the call, but they were tears of relief. Because now I had a plan. Now I had a way forward. It's been 3 days since then. Jake's been texting nonstop, apologies, promises, pleas for one more chance. He even showed up at the house once with flowers. I didn't let him in. I watched from the window as he stood there on the porch, looking small, holding a stupid bouquet like it could erase everything. He eventually left. I put the flowers straight in the trash. I don't know what's going to happen long term. Divorce feels inevitable, but I'm giving myself space to breathe before I sign any papers. What I do know is that I'll never be able to look at him the same way again. Every late-night text, every kiss goodbye, every "I love you" from the past 4 months, it all feels poison now. And her? I don't even care who she is anymore. I don't care what she looks like or what she has that I don't, because this isn't about her. It's about him. He chose to betray me. He chose lies over honesty, betrayal over loyalty. That's on him. Reddit, I feel broken, but I also feel free. For the first time in months, I can breathe without waiting for the next lie to drop. I know it's going to be hard, lonely nights, paperwork, tears, but I also know I deserve better than a man who sneaks off to hotels with someone else while telling me he's working late. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you've ever had that gut feeling something was wrong, trust it. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. Your heart knows the truth even when your brain doesn't want to believe it. So that's where I am now, sitting in my half-empty house with my dog curled up at my feet, a cup of tea in my hands, and a weird mix of grief and relief in my chest. My life as I knew it is over. But maybe, just maybe, that's a good thing. Thank you, Reddit, for giving me the push I needed. For reminding me I'm not alone. For giving me the courage to say, enough. /the end.